Welcome to Blind Like Me, the podcast.
We share inspirational stories from the visually impaired community and explore accessible technology and services.
Blind Like Me is a community of shared experiences, motivating each other to break down barriers.
Your host is Tim Black.
Tim has been in the broadcast industry for over 30 years in Canada and was the first legally blind student in British Columbia to attend public school.
Tim has never let his disability stand in the way of his goals.
Well, hi there, and welcome to another edition of Blind Like Me, our first one for 2022. It is me, Tim Black, and yes, we have been off for a while. We took a little bit of a hiatus for the holiday season, and then the month of January just kind of flew by, and so far the month of February is flying by, but we have got new episodes of Blind Like Me coming out over the next several weeks. And we thank you very much for your loyalty and following Blind Like Me and asking where we were. We're back. And this week, a great episode. Had a chance to chat with this gentleman early in the summer of 2021. And we had gotten ready to do the interview and we'd recorded it. And then I kind of thought I wanted to wait until his book came out before we actually got him on the podcast, because you know, it's better to have the person here when their book is out and then they can talk about it. Webly Broaddus is his name, and he's got a brand new book out, Leading Blind Without Vision, a guide to hiring the blind and visually impaired. This book is meant for the HR people in the world, those who are in charge of hiring managers, okay? This book is going to give you multiple reasons why hiring the blind and visually impaired is a good thing for your company. We already know that there are extraordinary numbers of blind and visually impaired people who are unemployed right now. We've talked about this before, and we're not going to get into details about this. Welby decided that we needed a book. We needed a guide for the hiring people in the world to understand why it's a good idea to take the chance and hire those with a blind or visually impaired disability. Let's use the word. That's what it is. I want you to go and get his book. It's available for you now wherever you get books digitally. And make sure you share this episode with somebody who's in charge of hiring for your corporation. Webly Broaddus joins us from Ohio on Blind Like Me. Webly, welcome to the podcast, my friend. We got a chance to connect in, middle of 2021, and you had told me that you had a book coming out, and I think this is a really cool opportunity. Now that the book has officially come out, congratulations on that. We're going to talk about the book. And this is why we wanted to get you on the podcast and to talk about it. But before we do that, let's get a little backstory about you. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm leaving back. I got nystagmus in my left eye where the muscle moves the eye by itself. I can't control it. And I'm severely nearsighted. Mm-hmm. And I was born this way. And my parents couldn't afford for me to go to a special school for the blind or vision impaired as a kid. So I ended up just going to regular public school and pretty much navigating through a traditional school without any assistance from the school administration, anything like that.
Right.
So I really had to learn how to adapt, to deal with bullying and things like that, to basically survive through the school system to get where I am today.
And where you are today is pretty amazing. Let's talk a little bit about your career, because you've got quite a bit going on. You've got some counseling, you've got some business stuff. So tell me a little bit about your career, and then I'm going to ask you, and we're going to go backwards a little bit. Okay.
My current job now, I actually work for our Summit County Juvenile Court here in Akron, Ohio, and I am a misdemeanor services case manager. Mm-hmm. And what I do, I assist the youth when they come to court and their families and making decisions for them to be able to be successful and not be involved in the criminal justice system further than their life and as an adult. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing this job now for 10 years as of this past December. And before that, I worked 14 years as a career specialist job coach for a program called Jobs for House Graduates, that's in Ohio, and actually it's part of a national organization which is called JAG, which stands for Jobs for Americans Graduates.
Mm-hmm.
And in that position, I assisted at-risk youth in learning employability skills, and then once they graduate or get their GEDs, I help them either get into college, find employment, or enlist to the military. And pretty much all my jobs I had since I got out of college was basically working with nonprofits and working with at-risk individuals like myself. And I always want to do that type of work because I always want to give back to society, because what society has done for me to help me get where I am today. And the things that I struggled with and went through, I don't want anybody else to go through it, no matter what they're dealing with, a disability or economic issues or low education, things like that. I think everybody can overcome their challenges to be successful if they want to be able to do that.
And that was going to be my next question is, you have spent a lot of time working with youth over the last, several years. And why, and that is why, is because you were a youth that had challenges and you kind of want to give back?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I guess God made things happen for a reason. He put it in. To me, I think all my struggles that I went through as a kid and a young adult has geared me to work with this population and basically understand where they come through. And then I want them to get buy-in from me, because a lot of people get tell them what they should be doing, but if you didn't go through what they're going through, you won't even understand. And kids pick up on that. I know I did as a kid as well. It's good to somebody to say you do this, but you never did it yourself. Whereas I experienced those type of things. Might be different. My path was different from theirs, but we still had those struggles.
How did you get through the challenge of bullying? That was something you talked about just a second ago, going through the regular public school system. I know there's a lot of people that I still talk to today who are in the blind and visually impaired world. And you're seeing a lot online now too, is the fact that there's still quite a lot of bullying going on, which in 2022 still blows my mind that this happens. But how did you deal with it? I know how I dealt with it personally, because I, like you, went through public school. I did not go to a special school as well, and I had bullying in my life. So how did you deal with it?
When I first went to school, when I was raised before I even attended kindergarten. My mom and my grandmother, my dad's mom, they really raised me to not even know that I had a disability. And I can really say for like the first few years of my life, I didn't realize I was different. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I knew I wore glasses, but there's other people I found that wore glasses. I never knew that the way I would read things, put things real close to my eyes, that wasn't like normal situation until I got to school. And once I started realizing, people start talking about me, like, why you read so close to the paper, or they say things about me, make things like that. And it bothered me for the first 3 years. That I really felt down about myself, and I would be insecure to do certain things around certain people. But I started coming to myself around middle school, junior high school. And what I did is I realized that the bullies who was bullying me was the same people that was getting bullied by other people. And they would bully on me to make themselves look good, to put themselves in a better position amongst the people who was bullying them. So I grew up in the inner city, so I would start fighting these guys, and I would literally fight the guys that would bully me. And then it got to the point where I knew that I can't keep doing that. So then I just accepted who I was. So by my senior year in high school, I was content. You can say anything about me. It didn't faze me, because this is who I am and I love myself. And I said, but you're not going to stop me from doing what I want to be, doing what I want to do and being a person that I want to be. And I can't be nobody else but me. And if I didn't be myself, then I'm cheating myself. And I never want to cheat myself.
I love that. That's awesome. You and I have the very, very similar train of thought in that. You're never going to tell me what I can or cannot do for the fact that I am who I am, and that's who I am, and I'm going to do it.
Right.
Right. That's right. It. You moved on, and obviously, got yourself into your career and education and all those other things, and you got into an opportunity to write a book. Did you ever think you'd write a book?
Tim, I always said I want to write a book.
Okay.
But I was just saying I want to write a book. I never put myself in the position to write a book.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you one story. So my freshman year of college, I was in college, but I wasn't a college student. I was there because everybody's going to college, so I'm going to college.
Right.
So I wasn't putting forth the effort that I did. But there's one class I did before effort because I knew it was something simple that I could do was my English class, when English 111 in college. And so I think it was like our second paper we had to write. And this paper you could write about anything, entertaining, write about anything you wanted to. So I wrote about this trip that me and my friends took. We went to Virginia Beach for a weekend. It was like Memorial Day weekend, something like that. And I wrote about this trip. And so after we turned the papers in, like a week or so later after class, my professor asked me to stay over. And I'm thinking like, why you want me to stay over? Like, I said, I didn't plagiarize anything. This is going through my mind. What did I do wrong?
Right.
So he's asked, his first question, what is your major? I said, and at the time it was computer science.
Okay.
I said, computer science. He said, did you ever thought about going to journalism? I like, what? I said, no, not really. And he said, oh, you should think about it. You're an excellent writer. And I said, and I'm saying to myself, I said, okay to him, but in my mind, I said, man, I don't like writing these papers now. Then you talking about doing research. I said, nah, I'm not doing that. And then down the road, it came to my mind, I want to write a book. And I had the title Leading Blind Without Vision was always in my mind. That's going to be my title. And so pandemic hits. This is fast forward. Pandemic hits.
Yep.
When it came into effect that March, my job, I think it was like March 17th, something like that. I remember the day. I come into work, all the supervisors are meeting with the judge of the court. And I said, what's going on? They're talking about sending us home. I like, wow. I said, this stuff is serious.
Yeah.
So they sent us home. And for the first month, they didn't have nothing for us really to do, but do like online trainings and stuff like that. And so my girlfriend was like, her friend went to this course at Georgetown University called the Creators Institute. And she sent it to me, and I'm looking at it. She said, oh, let's apply for it. I know you want to write your book. So I applied for it. Not thinking I'm going to get accepted. Got accepted, met with the professor. I told him what I want to write about me being vision impaired. I'm going to talk about my story. He's all great. So he gave me some research, homework to do, some research to do, and things like that. And so in this class, it's a class of about, I say 300 people. It's online, and you write it within the community.
Right.
And one thing about when you write in the community, it helps you stay focused on finishing what you start. Because most people who call themselves writing a book, typically the majority of them who write never finish because they're writing alone. But when you write in this community, you get motivated, they encourage you, they give you people you want to interview and things like that. They help you out. And we have editors we go through. And so my first editor was a distributing editor. And she's disabled as well. And I told her I'm gonna write this book about me being vision impaired. And so one of her first questions to me was like, so you talking about you writing a memoir? I said, yeah, I'm writing a memoir. She said, I'm not gonna discourage you what you want to do, but I just got a couple of questions. And the first question she asked me was, well, who knows you? I'm like, what you mean, who knows me? So when you write a memoir, people typically know people. They write a memoir, like presidents write memoirs, celebrities. So who would buy your memoir except for your people that you know? And I'm like, what? Then I thought about it. I'm like, man, she's right. She said, maybe you should write about how other people with disabilities, how we can get jobs. And I said, I don't know if I'm gonna do that because that's already out there. There's services that teach us those skills that I went through, you went through. We already know that. I said, I'm gonna flip that. I'm gonna write a book to educate people on the benefits of hiring the blind and vision impaired community. She said, but that's going to be a lot of work. I said, I think that's what I need to do, though. I think that's the need that need to put out there, because that's the dilemma that we have. And so, and I felt like us as blind and vision impaired, like me, we went through all the programs. I'm sure you went through programs. Basically, these programs on how to survive are the same skills that business look for employees that we use to survive in a world that's not set up for us. So we have the skills that employers want. Is it the fact that employers are uneducated about what we're capable of doing? And that's why I wrote the book. And that's why I'm here today talking to you.
So let's talk a little bit about the book. It shines the light on the amount of blind and visually impaired people who are unemployed. But take me back to the beginning of this book, because it really does start early in the 1960s. Tell me a little bit about that, because go backwards with the book before we got to where we are today.
I'm going a little bit back before the 60s. So the Industrial Revolution came around in this country.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody knows how that went about. You know, the immigrants is coming over, they're getting these jobs and these factories, pretty much like sweatshops. And basically, this is how the country's founded on. So, and at this time, you had people from all over the world coming here. So people with disabilities, but this basically shut out. And that's include everybody, blind and vision impaired, anybody with a disability. They weren't getting the jobs. And the jobs that they were getting was jobs basically like circuses, sideshows, basically put themselves down as entertainment for other people who's not disabled to make fun of, crack jokes of. And then if we had a job, a lot of times we couldn't do a job by ourselves. So we had to have somebody who was sighted to be there with us to perform the work. So, and that leads up to like the 60s, and people wanted to say, "Hey, I'm a person just like everybody else. I want to have rights just like everybody else." And I think a lot of people don't even realize is people like us during those times, they could look. Let's say you want to go to a store. The store didn't have to let you in because you were blind and vision impaired, or even have accessibility for you to get into the building.
I didn't. It wasn't a requirement. And I want to stop you there, because I did, when I read that in the book, the fact that they didn't have to let you in, that blew my mind. I just like I was dumbfounded. I'd never heard of that before.
I didn't either until I did my research.
Yeah,
I did not either, and that blew my mind. I was like, this is a whole different type of discrimination. I mean, I have never even thought of that. Didn't even cross my mind that because I'm disabled, well, I'm not letting you in my store for whatever reason. Yeah,
but I mean, to skip forward, we still are, especially in the U.S. I'm not sure how much in Canada, but I know I hear about it in the U.S. Quite a bit. Is the fact there are still businesses who struggle with allowing people with a visual impairment who are totally blind with a guide dog, and they're still discriminating against that in today's world. We're still not wide open to be able to allow people into businesses who are walking with a dog.
Yeah, and so I don't understand it, especially nowadays with the American Disabilities Act. I mean. And I think one thing about it, as a blind and visually impaired person, I don't know if you experienced this, but this is something I experienced when I go to jobs. And I guess it's no fault to the job. I guess it could be. But if I get hired in a position, and typically as a blind and visually impaired person, if we get a job, we're gonna be loyal to a fault. Because if we don't like the job, or if we get fired from the job, we don't know how long it's gonna take for our next job to come along. Whereas not a person that with sight, they can just go quit today and probably find another job in a couple of weeks. Where it'll take us forever. So we're loyal to a fault. And I think one thing happens, I know it happens for me, when I do get a job, I don't ask for a lot because I don't want to come across as a burden, like, oh my God, we shouldn't have hired this guy. And then they say when I leave that company, the next blind or vision impaired person will get a shot because of how I was perceived when I was there. So a lot of times I would not even ask for some accommodation. I might ask for specific stuff that I know that I really need to get by doing this work, but something extra I could use to benefit me, I would not ask for because of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, the last job that I had, and it's interesting you use the fact that that blind and visually impaired people are loyal to a fault, because we are. Companies that I've worked for, I've been with for 10 and 12 and 15 years. And I think really one of the only accommodations that I ever asked, and that was when I actually moved here, when I took a job here in 2006, the only thing that I asked for was a flat screen monitor. And it was just the fact that I had gotten we had upgraded the computers in the company that I was working at before. We had all got flat screens, and I went, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, you can you can see it better, and it was larger. And so that was the only accommodation that I ever asked for was, just a bigger monitor. And again, I, like you, don't ask for a lot because in my mind, when I'm working with somebody and I work with companies all across Canada now, some of them, I want people not to think of me as a blind person or visually impaired person. I want them to think of me as Tim. Right. My disability is something that comes along with me, but that doesn't affect in the way that I'm doing my job or the way that I will do what you ask me to do. I may have modifications of how it, much probably like you do, but still you want to be the person who's doing the job, not the disability.
Correct. I want to be individual like you are individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
the blindness doesn't define me.
No, not at all. Not at all. So we talk about in the 1960s where all of a sudden disability people with disabilities and blind and visually impaired are all of a sudden saying, hold on just a second, we need rights too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We come to the point where we see the civil rights movements going through effect here in the United States. That's a big march against getting benefits from that. And so a group of people who with disabilities decide, we have rights. We're individuals just like they are. Mm-hmm. So they form a protest. And it was to the point that there were some people that was actually in wheelchairs. They decided to crawl up the Capitol steps.
Really?
Yes, it's my research. And people said, "Oh, they're going too far," but they said, "No, we didn't. This is the reality we want you to see." Mm-hmm. And so, this led to the part about us, the ADA, American Disability Act, coming into effect and signed by George Herbert Walker Bush. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are today with the American Disability Act. And then, and I forgot the year. Then after that, then it came out with the Accessibility Act. For technology, have to have accessibility technology built in it. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are with it today. But yet, we're still dealing with people breaking ADA guidelines, and you have all these laws that's in effect.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think they're still breaking them? Is it the fact that it just the education is not there? They're not educated about the laws?
Yeah. I think what is employers, a lot of times, they're uneducated. They never even take the time to understand that the resource that pretty much I'm not an expert on this, but I can pretty much say every major organization in the world is using some organizational computer platform like Office and things like that. Mm-hmm. All these platforms by law has accessibility technology built into it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times the employers might not even know what they have to use that's accessible for a person who's blind and visually impaired. Mm-hmm. So they think they don't have anything. Mm-hmm. So it's like you said, I think the key is education.
Yep.
And it's real simple education. It's not nothing you got to go out and hire somebody to do. You just, I could play around with it and find out what I have and read the manual and tell you what you got and how to use it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you think about, you were saying Office and stuff like that, how Microsoft Word has come along now. And I mean, now when you look up on the screen, it has a microphone and it has dictation built right in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
How many of us back 10, 15 years ago were buying those pieces of software to be able to have our computers do dictation for us? And hey, now it's built right in, which is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Zoom Tech was my best friend in college.
Old Zoom Tech. So you progressed throughout the book, and really your book is really to go to those companies and those HR people and say, listen, here's somebody with a blind visual disability. You can still hire them.
Correct. Yeah.
What's the one takeaway that you would tell from the book or from yourself, these people who are going to read this book, because we're gonna obviously share the link and where you can get it and all that other stuff. What's your one takeaway that you want to share with these people?
The one takeaway I want to share is that, especially now, what's going on in the world with the COVID, a lot of people are not even trying to work anymore, or are doing their own thing.
Yep.
And a lot of employers are looking for employees. This is a great time to tap in an untapped market that never has really been given a shot. To see what we can do, and what you're going to get when you hire somebody like us who's blind or vision impaired. You're getting a person that's going to be loyal, dedicated, natural problem solvers. We have to navigate through a world that's not set up for us on a daily basis, so we have to problem solve everything that we do. That's just a natural skill that we have. Whereas you hire an employee, you got to teach them problem solving skills. We already have those abilities, and somebody that you're going to have less risk, less accident. I'm going to share a study with you. So Walgreens opened up this facility, I think it's in South Carolina. And they wanted to hire people with disabilities. So they made it accessible for all types of disabilities. They were bringing they were on board this population.
Right.
And what they found out, and they also hired people who were non-disabled as well. But what they found out, that their employees that had disabilities were more loyal. They were more dedicated, better problem solvers, and they committed less accidents than individuals who did not have a disability, who are not visually impaired. So you get this population, and I think like this book, what my book's going to do, it's going to teach you what these skills we have. And then on top of that, the third section of the book is actually just geared for the HR professionals, business owners, executives, and people who major in these fields. I give you a step-by-step on how to actually partner up with your government services for the vision impaired, or a lot of times they don't even have a section just for vision impaired. They just have the rehabilitation, vocational rehabilitation services, which deal with all disabilities. On how to work with those organizations to get the skilled employee that you need for your job, for your company, to perform the job. Yeah, so
I think it's awesome.
I think the best thing they could do is partner up with these organizations who work with us on a daily basis, and they're gonna get the best of the best for them. So basically, they even getting people. They're already getting qualified employees that can do the job from the organization.
You're getting more bang for your buck.
Correct. And the government agencies is free. It's not like you got to pay somebody. Now, there's some private organizations that does that. I mean, but you can just go to your government agency because they're looking to hire their clients.
Right. And this could be different depending on where you're listening to us, compared to Canada, the US, or wherever. So make sure you always check with your local municipal or provincial or state or whatever government and find out that. I like what you said about that they're hiring natural problem solvers. I mean, and that's 110% true, because anybody who is blind or visually impaired solves a problem every time they get out of bed in the morning and somebody has moved something in the house, or the dog has dropped a toy somewhere or whatever, and you have to problem solve to get yourself from point A to point B to point C.
Right. It's so funny. It's so funny you say that. Us being blind and visually impaired, for like now, I live by myself now.
Okay.
But like when my son was here, or even when I grew up with my family, it was training.
Yeah.
It was problem solving training every day.
Yeah.
Because
I trained two of them. I trained my two children and my wife.
yeah. And so it was training for us to navigate because we don't know what things are being moved.
That's right.
So I gotta figure this out. Like,
That's right. Yep. We're natural problem solvers and we'll be true to you for forever. So what do we have to do, Welby, next to decrease the amount of unemployment in the US, Canada, North America, wherever, for the blind and visually impaired? What do we have to do? How do we do it?
Education. I think people who are in these positions to hire us need to educate themselves. And I'm not even talking about going back to school for say. I'm talking about just get involved with your blind and visually impaired community. And like a start, I talk about this in the book. Get involved in some of the activities. Like, for example, I don't know if you guys do in the Canada, we do the White Cane experience here in October, a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And that highlights blind and visually impaired people in the past. And it also highlights what we're capable of doing. And like a lot of blind centers here, like I used to be the chairman of the blind center here in Akron. And we have White Cane Experience Day in October. It's just second Saturday, October. We have a big event. People come out. And what organizations do, get involved, partner, sponsor these type of events. And you can get out and see what we do just on a regular basis, that you'll be shocked how this could benefit your employer. I think that employers need to just, first of all, take a breath and step back and just say, how can I hire this population? Ask yourself that question versus worry about what I can't do or what you might have to do or what some lie you've been told that we can't do. Step back, breathe. They can read my book and then go to these places that serve us, our population on a regular basis, and learn from them and partner with them. Because one thing about it, I guarantee you pretty much, and this is the world, any blind organization in the world or blind center or vocational rehabilitation center in the world has unemployed blind and visually impaired employees that are capable to perform any job that they can see themselves doing. Because there's no limitations. I mean, only limitations I can see is I don't drive.
So you're never going to be a skip driver then, eh?
Yeah, you're not going to see me driving nothing around, but pretty much jobs where it's computer related work and things like that, customer service, things like that. So even assembly work, so we can do. I mean, so see how you can onboard us into your workforce. And the key is just education and put the fears away.
Where do people find, first of all, you name your book again?
It's called Leading Blind Without Vision, The Benefits of Hiring the Blind and Visually Impaired. And
where do you find it? Where can people get it?
You can get it on Amazon. Actually, I saw it on Barnes and Nobles. Anywhere books are sold online. You can go to my website. There's a link on my website.
Give me your website.
Which is broaddusbizsoul.com. So that's BROADDUSBIZSOL.com.
I got to tell you, it is a great book. I know we're reading it right now, both my wife and I. And I encourage everybody to pick it up. And if you want, you can also get it. We got it through the Apple bookstore as well. That's how I'm reading it. So if you are somebody who is blind or visually impaired and you use an Apple device, you can actually have Siri read it to you, which is really, really cool. So I would encourage you to go and get this. And if you have somebody in your company or you have, friends who are in the HR world, get them to read this. We're going to share, obviously, your link to your website on our website at blindlikeme.net, and we will also share it on our other social media sites as well. So, Welby, congratulations for putting the book out. I think it is something that is definitely a need. Are you happy with it?
I'm very happy with it. It still hasn't hit me yet, but it's getting there.
Well, I notice your LinkedIn now says author, so congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Welby, congratulations, my friend. Thanks very much for spending some time with us on Blind Like Me. I wish you all the best, and maybe one day down the road we'll be able to meet in person together.
Oh, Tim, I hope so, and I really appreciate the time. And you got a great show. If you need anything from me, I'm here for you guys as well.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Blind Like Me.
If you have a story idea or you'd like to share information about new assistive technology,
Visit us at blindlikeme.net.
or send an email to info@timblackonair.com.
Blind Like Me is a timblackonair.com production.